Have some clam chowder followed by beefsteak on rye, pumpkin pie, whipped cream and coffee. I want a green salad on the side. Don't forget the French fried pizza pie, garlic and anchovy.
So this week on Desert Island Dishes, we're going to be in the village of Ravensthorpe, and let's have a chat now to Mike Cobb, who is from the Ravensthorpe Village Cinema, which runs there, and he's with me in the studio. Thank you very much for coming in. And the cinema is in the village hall, yes?
That's correct.
Okay, so how long's it been going?
Well, we started in 2016 with the support of a group called Phoenix Community Cinema, who came along and showed the films for us and did all the organisation for arranging licences, etc. Then after the first year, we established there was a demand in the village to carry on doing it. We applied for funding from the big lottery fund to get our own equipment, and that enabled us then to start showing films in a better environment, with better sound, better screen, etc., and to show more films and also use the equipment for other features like courses or talks.
Very good. And how often do you put on a film?
We have 2 a month. The first one's mainstream, and then the second film later in the month is foreign language or documentary type film.
Okay, so one highbrow, one average.
Yeah, there's nothing exclusive about the cinephile.
No.
And it's attracting quite a strong audience.
Yeah, I bet actually, because it brings a new audience, I suppose, to it. Have you got a film background or anything?
Not at all. No, I was a civil engineer.
Okay.
My wife is really the instigator of all this, and her background is more in managing school buildings and the like.
Okay.
The county council.
Oh wow.
But so none of us had a background. We just liked cinema, always had done. And she just had this desire to start a community cinema.
Which is great,
and
it's obviously
got roped
working.
in to do the admin.
Well, that's quite right. And how many people come along on average? Because you don't have to be a member, no?
You don't have to be a member, no. We steered clear of that, partly for administration reasons, much anything else, but we want it to be open to anybody. And the last full year that we had, the average audience was 60 for mainstream and 46 for cinephile.
Pretty good then.
Yeah, it is very good, yeah.
Can I ask you what your favourite film is? Is that impossible to answer?
No, it's not, because it always comes straight to mind. It's Some Like It Hot.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect film almost. And as much as I like films like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid and any of the films that the McDonough brothers do, the instant reaction is just Some Like It Hot.
Always comes back to that. Yeah. And I have no idea, because it's not as simple as saying, right, well, we want to play Top Gun, let's put that on. You mentioned licenses. You have to have a kind of a license to play certain films.
Sometimes people want to show a film, say, for a birthday celebration in the village hall. And even for that, even though there's no fee involved and it's private, because it's a public space, you have to have a license for it. It's called a single title screening license. And they run out at about minimum of about £100, including that. Otherwise, on the more commercial events where we're charging, then it's 35% of the takings on the door.
Really? So it's not a case of, well, I've got, Mamma Mia on DVD, so let's play that.
No. We have to wait. Films come out on full release, and probably 12 to 16 weeks after that, they're available on DVD.
Okay.
And that's the point under the single title screening license that we can show them. So we always have that slight lag.
Okay.
And then, of course, some films take longer, depending on how the commercial situation is in the cinema. They might be held up for a DVD release or something.
So what one have you got on this month?
This month, there is a shortage of mainstream films to choose from. But we think one our audience will like is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry.
Oh, OK. We did the book on our book club.
Yeah, it's a very popular book.
Yeah, it was.
So we've got that for the mainstream feature.
Jim Broadbent, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
And Penelope Wilton.
Yeah.
So our audience quite like good British actors like that as well. So I think they'll like that film.
Okay.
And then we're following that up with a Pedro Almodovar film.
Oh, okay.
And we've had quite a success with foreign language of Pedro Almodovar films.
He's bonkers, isn't he? That's why.
Bonkers, but as he says, he likes his film to entertain.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing about them. You never feel you haven't been entertained by an Almodovar film.
And how long have you lived in Ravensthorpe?
Well, we moved there in 1977, which makes me sound, well, as old as I am, actually. We were relatively young, and we did a sort of self-build. I suppose we fancied doing that, but work was stagnating a bit, and I wasn't likely to move away, so we had a go at that. And, of course, you never quite finish it or never get it quite right. And my wife would say it's not right now, but I think we've finished doing anything to
So
it.
you're in the same house?
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, and you don't plan on moving? Still got stuff to finish.
not planning to move, certainly.
No. Very good. Well, we shall send people along. So when is the next cinema?
7th of November.
7th of November. Okay. And anyway, you don't have to be in Ravensthorpe to enjoy it.
You don't have to be in Ravensthorpe, but you have to book.
Okay.
We do online booking through Ticket Source.
Okay, fine. So
but
if we put Ravensthorpe Village Cinema into your Google.
Yeah, just Ravensthorpe Village Hall, you'll come up with a website, and the cinema is one of the tabs on that, and all our films are shown there.
Oh, very good. That sounds great. Well, we need to speak to you about food, Mike.
Yes.
Are you much of a foodie? Do you cook much?
Reasonably, on both counts, I'd say.
Okay. Right, well, you can have starter and main or main and pudding. What are you going to go for?
Starter and main.
Okay. Your starter?
The starter will be portobello mushrooms, stuffed with dolciolata or Stilton, wrapped in prosciutto, baked in the oven for about 12 minutes or so, and just served with a bit of ciabatta to soak up the juices, and a little bit of tomato and rocket salad.
Lovely. That sounds perfect.
It's very simple.
Yeah, but gorgeous.
Great thing is you can do it all in advance. So if you've got a larger group of people around, which is the meal I have in mind, then the person doing the cooking hasn't got to be separated from those enjoying drinks for the meal. So
exactly. Very nice. Okay, so portobello mushrooms stuffed. What about your main course?
That's another sort of Italian-sounding one. It can be Googled, this recipe.
Okay.
It's an old recipe from an old book that Sainsbury's used to publish in the 80s. It was from a book by somebody called Patricia Lusada, Lusada. And if you Google Lusada, pasta, chicken and broccoli, you'll find this particular menu, also with a slightly shortcut version. But the detail of it is you take a chicken, cut it up, boil it with herbs, wine, vegetables. After 20 minutes, you take it out, strip the meat off, put the skin and bones back in, make a good stock. And then you have pasta, broccoli, the stock, and Parmesan cheese. Mix it all together, top it off with Parmesan, bake it. But it can be made a day before.
Oh.
So
and it sounds like you don't need to Google it anymore. You know it.
Well, there's a bit more to it than that. if you want, I probably don't need to Google it, no, but it always helps to look at the recipe.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, okay, Lusada. I'm gonna Google that because I'm always looking for new pasta dishes.
Yeah.
My daughter's obsessed with pasta, so.
It's a good one if you've got 8, 10 people coming around,
Yeah.
as we sometimes do. Then it's a great one.
Oh, okay, very nice. And then a drink.
The drink, well, I tend to favour Southwest France wine, so sort of Minervois, Languedoc, Corbière, Roussillon, that sort of area.
Wow.
Or we actually like Beaujolais for some reason.
Okay.
I think we holidayed there once, and it has a sentimental attachment to us.
Very nice. So you go for so that is white or red?
No, red.
Red.
Yeah.
Okay, shows what I know.
Well, with those
doesn't it?
dishes, yeah, red.
Okay. Very nice. Well, Mike, it's really nice to meet you. Thank you
Okay,
very much
good
for coming
to
in. And good luck with the rest. Have you got a Christmas one for December? Are you doing a Christmas movie? Is that
Christmas, we've got Mission Impossible.
okay.
And then we're having a bit of an unusual thing, which does sound a bit more film clubby. We're showing a very early film noir, Double Indemnity, made in 1944.
Oh.
And then the interesting aspect of that is the first film we're going to show in January is Body Heat, which follows the kind of tropes of Double Indemnity, but has a lot more twists and turns. It's also a very raunchy film with Kathleen Turner and William Hurt.
Okay.
Made both their careers, I think. And Ted Danson's in it as well. It's a really good film. We'll have to issue a bit of a warning that it's pretty raunchy.
Okay. An age warning will be issued. Lovely. Well, it's really nice to meet you. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Mike.
Nice to meet you.
So, another one of their residents sitting opposite me. Colin Mold is here. Morning, Colin.
Good morning.
Organiser of many an event in the village. You've lived in Ravensthorpe for how long?
I was born about 68 years.
68 years,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And not many people come in with a special suit, but you have brought in today your old Butlins red coat.
Red coat uniform.
Oh,
Yes.
When did you work at Butlins?
I was in Butlins. I went to Butlins 78, 79 and 80 at Clacton.
Right.
And then the sunshine dragged us off to do holiday repping in other countries. And then in 1983, the rumour was, early 1983, the rumours were that Clacton was going to close. So I chose to go back to Clacton and do a season in 1983. And at the end of it, I borrowed the red coat uniform. So it's 40 years old, Annabel, that. And the rules were, I mean, the jackets are so heavy, but we weren't ever allowed to take our jackets off unless it was very hot in the summer in the ballroom in the evenings. And in the daytime, there was family sports, donkey derby. We were allowed to wear shorts, but the rest of the time it was the white lanolin slacks there, a blue and yellow tie for the daytime, and then in the evening we put our dicky bows on at 6 o'clock. And we went to the restaurants to welcome everybody into called Swanning. And then afterwards, it was either the Beacon, the bingo, the whist drive, the fancy dress parties, the kids' parties. And then everybody had to end up in the ballroom, the Viennese ballroom, every night by 10 o'clock. And that was it till 11:45. Right?
The place to be, wasn't it? I was telling you that as a kid, we went to Butlins a few times.
Yeah.
We always went to Minehead.
Yeah.
In fact, I've still got, and I don't know whether they did this at Clacton, they used to do photos in a little
in a
tiny...
viewer.
In a little
Yes.
viewer.
I've got a few of those.
I've got one of me and my granny in one of those Butlins
They're great,
viewers,
aren't they? They're little
they?
things. And I did mine. The last time I did Minehead was one week. I was a compere. And I compared, it was called Glam Grands, but it was a glamorous granny competition. But it was and it went nationwide. Every camp had a Glam Grand. And at the end of the season, everybody was given a free weekend at Minehead. And we had a Glam Grands nationwide competition. But we had Holiday Princess, we had Miss She. There was a competition every night and every day. It was fun times.
So you've always been very much entertaining, haven't you? And you continue that in the village, because you do all sorts. So I was just asking how your fate went in the summer. It was the worst weather possible.
It was a disaster, Annabel. It wasn't the worst day of the week. It was worst day of the year. It was August the 5th. And they warned us the day before that it was going to be bad. Now, it takes a whole year to organise it, because we had church fete meetings every month and we organised who was going where. We had 20 stalls and other things, coconut shy, the Skittles, everything. But it rained and rained and rained. And if we'd have called it off, we'd have made nothing.
No.
So we opened it up at 12 noon. We had 150 people foot through the gate, which is normally 500, and we took 1,500 quid.
Well, it's better than nothing, isn't it? And that does mean that next year, surely the sun will shine.
Who says it's going to be a next year?
Right, well, talk about what you've got coming on next month.
Next month,
the weather will not ruin that, will it?
We'll talk about Ravensthorpe in a minute, but next month, yeah, we're still in October, aren't we? On Friday the 24th, we've got a Christmas bingo night at the Village Hall. It's always a great success. Come early. Everything's there for Christmas, your presents. And we do two lines and a full house. We have a bingo ticket on an entrance. You can win fish and chips from the chip shop at Long Butby. And that's always a good evening. But there's loads of other things. I've lived in Ravensthorpe, say, for 68 years. My job took me out of Ravensthorpe for a while when I was travelling with, the holiday reps or the Butlins thing. But I've organised the church fete in the summer. The village, there's a playing field committee, and they had a beer festival in the summer. That rained all day, but they made well over £4,000.
Wow.
The church has always got activities going on, and I've got the sheet here. We can read a few things out in a minute. The parish council are very good. They keep the village very tight. Ravensthorpe's never enlarged over the years. I think on the last census it was 700 people in the village, and I think that was 5 years ago. But we've never been built in. Ravensthorpe stayed the same for years. And at one time we had a co-op, which was at the bottom of Chequers Hill.
You had a post office.
We had a post office general store. We lost the co-op years ago. And we lost the post office a couple of 3 years ago.
You still got the pub?
We've still got the pub, and Patrick, bless him, his dad died very quickly about 4 years ago. His mum's in care, so Patrick, the son, he's taken it over, bless him, and it is the centre hub of the village, and he's done very well. And his sister Sam comes down from up north. I think she's a nurse. They came down
the Chequers, isn't it?
Yeah, the Chequers, yeah. And he's done very well considering he was in at the deep end. Good. So we've got a good pub there as well.
Well, it's a good old village, isn't it? Yeah. So, as you say, lots of stuff. We were speaking yesterday to the people who organised the village cinema in the village hall, which is great, isn't it? So, yeah, lots of stuff going on. Very good. People will know you as Mouldy, won't they?
Mouldy, yeah. Well, there's 6 boys and a girl. We're all village people. We owned a thing called Home Farm. We moved up there in 65. My dad died at 42 in 67. There were 6 kids, 7 children, 6 boys and a girl. At that time,
poor sister.
Yeah, my mum had to decide whether we kept the farm because we were only tenants. We moved out in 60s. Dad died in 67, so we moved out in 68. And little did Mum know that Dad took a life policy out 2 years before, and it paid out £4,000. So Mum, Helen Mold, had a house built over the road called Green Acres, and all 7, we lost the farm because we're only tenants, and we moved into Green Acres, which is at the top of the village, and we've all done our own things from there.
Very good. Well, there we go. The Molds. Very nice. Right, we need to talk to you about food, Colin. So, can you cook?
Yeah. Well, I left school in 70, and I went to catering school at the college at George's Avenue.
Oh, okay.
I did catering and hotel management for 71 and 72, and I passed everything with flying colours. So I can cook a bit. I took a chef job on for a while at the Cock Hotel, didn't like the evening work, so I went into industrial catering, and I was a chef at Metoy. I was catering manager at Metoy, which was a toy firm in Halston Road.
Oh,
and it was a fabulous place until 77, and then this advert came up. I was running a disco called the Indigo Blue Roadshow at the time as well, and we backed some of the 60s groups, like the Searchers, and the Pacemakers, Mud, Shiwaddy Waddy.
Wow.
We did all that. And then in 77, this advert came up. Would you like to be a redcoat at Butlins?
And you thought you got to do it.
My interview was in Bedford, and they take you into this big hotel room, and there's a piano up the corner, and the entertainment manager and assistant manager of Clacton, they interview you, they give you a microphone and say, right, entertain us. So I sang a bit of a song and told a couple of jokes, and they said, right, you've got it. You'll be coming to Clacton in the March of 78.
Love it.
Yeah, so anyway.
Yes, so you've lived high, you can cook.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so starter and main or main and pudding?
Main and pudding.
Okay, your main course.
The main is stew and dumplings.
Right, you see, something said to me that you were going to go tradition.
Yeah, I love it.
So
stew and dumplings. And as everybody knows, the third day of it, when you cook it, tastes better than the first day. The trouble is, I live with 3 vegetarians. My partner's vegetarian, and my 2 kids are vegetarian. So when I cook a stew and it's overnight on a slow one, all the windows are open and the air freshener comes out the next day. But
and you eat it for weeks because you're the only one eating it.
3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Crusty bread, and I love cabbage and I love mashed potatoes.
Okay. What's in the stew? Is it beef?
Beef, yeah, beef stew, beef casserole with all the fresh veg and the dumplings and everything. And then for pudding, bread and butter pudding.
Look at you.
Yeah, and I made a bread and butter pudding last week, but I added a coconut and raspberry jam with it. And it was yummy.
Look at you.
But there was a lady on the other day to say when her dad always has a pudding, he has a full Monty.
Yes.
And every time I go out, I like cream, ice cream, and custard.
Okay, with your bread and butter.
Yeah, with the bread and butter pudding.
Good.
And it was yum.
Lovely.
So
what about a drink you can have?
Yeah, drink. I love Tia Maria Coke.
Oh, okay.
A tall one, nice and cold, and I could drink 3 or 4 Tia Maria Cokes, where I could drink 2 pints of lager on anybody. So the Tia Maria Coke goes a longer way, but I love Tia Maria Cokes. Oh, Guinness Shandy. Guinness Shandy is fabulous in the summer.
Guinness Shandy?
Yeah, it is fabulous. But I was at a bar...
What, so Guinness with lemonade?
Yeah.
Oh.
And what you have to do is put the lemonade in first and whisk the bubbles out, and then you put your Guinness on top. And it's fabulous as a summer drink when it's chilled. But I was at a bar the other night and asked for a Guinness Shandy, and an Irish fella next door to me told me with a few words I'd ruined a pint of Guinness.
I was going to say, there'll be Irish people listening to this saying, get that bloke off.
Get rid of the lemonade,
What's he talking about?
Yeah,
outrageous.
Cracking days.
Colin, really nice to see you. Thank
Pleasure.
you very much for coming in. Thank you for bringing your Butlins uniform
Yeah,
in.
you could try it on in a minute.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I do see that you have got the little Butlins badge there that says Colin, Chief Redcoat.
Yeah, well, that was my dream to be Chief Redcoat, but I think you've got to be at Butlins for 40 years before you even get that. I was Colin Redcoat Compare, but we have a reunion every 2 years, and we've just got back from Torquay this time, and everybody's 2 years older, like the World Cup football, we're all 2 years older, and I made that up, and everybody had a go at me because I became Chief. I promoted myself to Chief Redcoat.
Well,
and why not?
You do what you want to do.
Thank you.
Lovely, nice to see you, Colin.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
So time to head back to the village of Ravensthorpe. That's where we are this week on Desert Island Dishes. We love this feature. We get to speak to lots of different people who make a place tick. And this morning we're going to speak to Bernadette Watson, who runs the bridge club in the village. Morning, Bernadette.
Good morning, Annabel.
How long have you been a bridge player?
Oh, gosh, nearly 30 years.
Have you? What got you into it?
Well, I just felt that I needed something to exercise my mind, so I started having lessons. And I really, really enjoy it, and I just want other people to enjoy it as much as I do.
Well, I play a lot of cards. I love cards, and my parents always played cards. My mum and dad played a lot of bridge.
Yes, I played with her, yes.
Oh, did you? Yeah, she was a big bridge player.
Yes, she was.
But I have not quite done the bridge thing yet. I'm sure I will, because, like you say, it is very good for the mind, isn't it?
It is. Well, why don't you have lessons and come along and have a little go in our bridge club?
I probably should, shouldn't
Yes, I think you should.
Although there are some proper card sharps around, aren't there?
I wouldn't say that, no.
So tell me about a bit about you and Ravensthorpe, because you've lived there, you've moved away, and now you've gone back. Yes.
Yes, we moved into the village 41 years ago, and then moved out and lived in Hollowell for 12 years. And we went into a big house, so we wanted to downsize. So we came back to Ravensthorpe because I love it so much.
They let you back in.
Oh, yes, they did. I was lucky.
Weren't you just? And
Yes.
how often do the Bridge Club meet?
We meet once a week
Oh,
on
okay.
Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, we're afternooners because we all like to to not go out in the cold weather at night. But we meet on a Tuesday afternoon between 2 and 5.
Okay. And whereabouts? Do you go to different people's houses or the village hall? Or
Ravensthorpe Village Hall.
okay, the village hall's a busy place, isn't it?
Oh, it's a very busy place, but it's such a gorgeous location. It's kept so beautifully. It is absolutely fabulous.
And do you always have the same partner, or do you mix it up?
Well, yes, we all tend to have our own partners because if we play to our own partners, we get better and better. But yes, I don't mind if somebody else hasn't got a partner. My partner will jump in and play with them, and I'll play on my own and
Okay.
just call for a dummy.
Because for those who don't really know bridge, I mean, it's glorified trumps, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. And if you can play trumps, you can start to play bridge.
I suppose
That is the
whist is the
basis of
proper
it.
whist is the proper game, isn't it, for trumps?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
whist,
But people will know it as trumps, won't they? A lot will.
Yeah, whist. But
And you've got quite a few members.
we have about 25.
Great.
Yeah, we'd like more. We'd like more to come in. You don't have to live in Ravensthorpe to come to our bridge club. And we're a really jolly lot. We all got on very well. People are so friendly. It's a really lovely bridge club.
And so my mum used to go to lots of different bridge clubs. Do you do the same? Do you travel around a bit?
Well, yes, I used to travel around a lot, but your mum used to come to East Haddon.
Yes,
And my
she did.
husband and I used to run it there.
Ah.
And so I knew her very well. And I decided that I'd like to sort of get more people into playing bridge. So we started lessons. A friend of mine came along and we offered the villagers lessons. And then eventually we became a club.
Very good. Well, it's people like you that make villages tick. That's the thing.
Oh, thank you.
Need people like you. Well, that sounds great. Bernadette, I'll have to come and join you one day, won't I?
Oh, yes, I
will.
hope you
I'll
do.
take the plunge. Right, we're going to talk to you about food.
Food.
Are you a good cook?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. You sound like you are. Come on. So this is your dream meal. You don't have to cook it. So starter and main or main and pudding?
Oh, starter and main.
Okay. So your starter.
My starter would be anything with prawns. When we go on cruises, they have tempura prawns, which I love, which is sort of cooked in a sort of very light batter, which I absolutely love, and it is gorgeous.
And when you say when you go on cruises, you go on a fair few, do you?
Yes.
Where have you been?
Oh, gosh. We've been virtually all around the world, but not always on cruises. We just love cruising.
Where's your best cruise you've been on? Is it possible to say?
Oh, it is impossible, but we did go on a cruise from Southampton to Australia, which was, absolutely fabulous. And I can't remember how many days it was, a lot of days, but we went to all these exotic places that you only hear of. And now I can sort of look at pictures on the telly and think, oh, I've been there. So what I always do is when we get to a place, I always stand there and think, my goodness, I'm here. I've seen it on television. I can't believe that I'm standing here in this country.
I know, I've just been watching, I don't know whether you've seen any of that race across the world, but you watch that and you see some of the places on there and you think, oh, well, I've been there and that looked fabulous. And then you go, oh, well, I've never been there and I really want to. They make you want to go, don't they?
Oh, yes. You go anywhere famous, When you go, say you're on the China wall of China, and you're there, and you think, how can I be here? This is just unbelievable.
Where's your next one?
Well, we're actually going later in the year to the Canary Isles, which is one of our favourites.
Which one, or all?
All of them. We're going cruising to all of them.
Wow.
To Lisbon and all sorts of places like that. Just going down because we go from Southampton and we go around the Canaries, which I love. We both love. And it's a nice, easy cruise for us.
Yeah, and I expect you played a fair bit of bridge on a cruise ship.
Oh, yes.
Very good.
Love it.
Lovely. Okay, so tempura prawns for your starter. What about your main?
Well, I think actually a nice steak, a really beautiful piece of fillet steak, and a peppered sauce.
Okay, chips, mash?
Oh, chips.
Chips, okay.
Good
And
chips.
any greens on there?
Oh, yes. However many they want to give me.
Okay, lovely, all right. And how are you going to cook your steak? How is it, rare or
Medium
well done?
rare.
Medium rare. Okay, lovely. And then you're allowed a drink. What would you have?
Oh, white wine.
Okay. Any particular type?
Chenin Blanc.
Okay, very nice. Well, that sounds good to me. Sounds like you know how to have a good time, Bernadette. If people want to come and find you, what day is your bridge club?
Our bridge is on a Tuesday afternoon. They come just before 2:00. We're there until just before 5:00. And there are prizes. There's tea, coffee, biscuits, sometimes cake. If it's someone's birthday, they buy cakes. And you get a prize at the end of it all.
Wonderful. Who won yesterday?
Oh, who won yesterday? I'm trying to think. I think
Not
it's
you.
over if they're listening.
Clearly, not you.
Yeah, one of our friends won yesterday.
Right,
I certainly didn't.
Bernadette, really nice to speak to you. Thank you for coming on, and I hope it goes from strength to strength.
All right, thank you so much.
So Desert Island Dishes then, and this week we've been in Ravensthorpe and we've spoken to all sorts of people who, well, I think make the village tick. Seems like a great community there. So let's speak to someone who is at the heart of all of this. Chair of the Village Hall Committee is Bob Pike. Hello, Bob.
Good morning, Annabel.
And it's a busy village hall, isn't it?
Well, we try to make it like that.
Well, we were speaking earlier on this week to Mike, who runs the cinema club there, which sounds great.
Yes.
Yesterday, Bernadette was telling us about the bridge club, but there are all sorts of other things going on there as well. Give us an idea.
Well, we try to make the hall a place that is versatile and attractive for people to use. And the kind of things that go on there would be private parties like wakes and weddings. We try to have music gigs, quiz nights. Last week there was a kids' Halloween party. Our regular dates during this time of the year would include Pilates, karate for juniors and also for seniors, short mat bowling, crafting. We have morning coffee on the first and third Wednesday each month. The Women's Institute and the Parish Council meet also monthly. And we're always keen to hear from anyone else who would like to make use of the hall, who has ideas for other events.
Gosh, and which of those do you take part in? Are you a Pilates man?
No, I don't take part in any. I do some training myself, Annabel, but I don't actually participate in the Pilates.
Right. Well, clearly you need to get to the karate then. In that case, Bob.
Well, I don't even do that. I'm afraid the karate is a great exercise for the black belters, which they have in the seniors, and also the juniors. Andy does a great job with all of the juniors who go to that.
Yeah.
But I do a bit of training in my own garage in the mornings.
Very, very good. And how long have you lived in Ravensthorpe?
Since the summer of '89, so
okay.
That's 34 years nearly.
And what got you to the village? Were you Northamptonshire boy and you moved from somewhere else?
I was actually born in Northampton, and I first went to school, Annabel, about 200 yards from where you are now, because Notre Dame Convent used to take boys for 2 years in kindergarten.
Okay.
And then I went to a primary school in Clare Street, and then I went away to school. Subsequently, with various jobs which I had, I was living in Surrey. My wife and I were living in Weybridge in Surrey. And it was a new role in central Birmingham that brought us back to Northamptonshire. And we moved to Ravensthorpe because we were quite near my elderly parents at that time, and because it was a very suitable place to go up and down to both Birmingham and to London. So that's
and you
what brought us
stayed.
here.
And
We
actually, speaking to you about Notre Dame, because it's very sad, isn't it? It's no longer there at all, is it? But
Yes,
there's
that's
a kind of a small memorial, I think. But people do talk about their times there. It's got some memories, hasn't it?
It certainly does. It certainly does. Yes, it was a good start.
Very good. Right. Well, Bob, we need to talk to you about food.
Yes.
So this is your dream meal in 2 courses. Has this been agony to try and to whittle it down to just 2?
No, not at all, Annabel. In fact, my wife is the cook here. Okay, I sort of mess about behind the scenes,
Right.
but I think one of our favourite dishes would be red Thai fish curry, which we would put fresh haddock and coconut cream, Greek yogurt, and that is then served with basmati rice, mango chutney, and tomato and banana salad.
Oh my God! What time am I coming round?
Well, it's good. It's slightly spicy, but absolutely delicious.
What did you say? Did you say tomato and banana salad?
Tomato and banana salad? That goes with the spicy curry very well
Does
indeed.
it? Wow, never
does.
had such a thing. And I mean, I love Thai food. Have you ever been to Thailand?
Yes, a few times, and I always loved it there.
Wow.
But mainly when I went there, I was working rather than being on holiday.
Okay.
But nevertheless, it's a great place to go.
Very nice. Okay, so I presume that's a main course, is it?
It is indeed. And
Okay.
then we for dessert, we would have something like baked apple and almond pudding, which would be served warm with vanilla ice cream and or Greek yogurt. And if you're Colin Mold, you might also add custard. So anyway, that's a delicious combination that we enjoy here too.
Very good. And Colin is someone who came on a couple of days ago on Desert on Dishes, and he was talking about the Christmas bingo that you've got at the village hall as well.
If it's the last thing you do on this earth, you must go and see Colin perform at his bingo on the 24th of this month. Okay, it has to be seen to be believed.
It's a good way to go out, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, we'll send people down. And then
Okay.
you're allowed a drink. What would you have?
Well, with something which is slightly spicy, Annabel, we'd prefer to go for a beer probably rather than wine. So a lager beer such as Peroni, or I might even have a Guinness, which these days might also be Guinness Zero, which is a good drink to have. And we'd probably start the meal off before we start eating. We might have a gin and tonic.
Oh, I mean, I think I need to move in. That sounds perfect to me. It really
You'd
does.
be welcome to Ravensthorpe anytime, Annabel.
Very good. Well, actually, you mentioned Guinness. So have you tried the 0% Guinness then? It's all right, is it?
Absolutely. No, Patrick has it in the Checkers here.
Oh, does
and
it?
I visited my GP last week, and we discovered we both had a liking for Guinness Zero.
Oh, okay. And well, Colin earlier on this week, I mean, he was sacrilege. He chose a Guinness Shandy, of all things.
Yes, well, Colin is an unusual person in certain respects.
Very good. I don't even think he'd be offended. I don't think he
I
would.
hope not.
Bob, really nice to speak to you. I expect that being the chair of the Village Hall Committee, it's a lot of work from a lot of people, is it?
It is a lot of work from a lot of people, yes, all volunteers.
Very good. Well, Bob, it's nice to speak to you. Well done for everything you do.
Thank you for calling, Annabel. All the best.
Now, all this week on Desert Island Dishes, we're featuring Ravensthorpe. So people from there, work there, all of the above. Well, Ben van Milligen is the managing director of Talk Meters, which is based in Ravensthorpe, and is with me this morning. Good morning, Ben.
Oh, good morning, Liz.
Nice to talk to you.
How are you?
Now, this is a company that's been going for, in your family, quite a long time, isn't it?
Yes, we started in the early 50s, 1951, by my father. He was known as Mr. Van in the village. We started down in the middle of the village, next to a little lane, in between that and the Checkers. And myself and my brother have been in the business for the last 35, 40 years. But just coming up to sort of moving on from the business.
Wow. So you're just
Certainly.
about getting the hang of it now, Ben. You just sort of, you've served your apprenticeship, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Tell me, you've got to explain to me then, what does torque meters do?
Well, torque's a force really that drives machines like motors, turbines, compressors, and pumps and things, and we measure that torque, and hence the power that's either produced or consumed by those machines. And we have to most of the work is bespoke engineering. We design the drive lines for people's test beds. So people who are, say, developing the components of a new aero engine, they want to measure the power that's either consumed or produced, or someone who's testing or overhauling helicopter engines wants to know that they've got enough oomph to get off the ground before they put it back in the aircraft.
They'd come to you. Fascinating. But so the company then must have changed a lot since your father started it then, because he was working on very different, machines then than you are now, I'm guessing.
Yes, he came from the background of sort of the early development of the gas turbine, and we had good customer up the road in Derby, Rolls-Royce. But these days we sell, I think 85% goes abroad to all the aero engine makers in the world. Certainly, yeah.
Wow. And I've got to ask, is Van Milligen, is that a well-known Ravensthorpe name, or where is the family from?
Apart from having been here for
forever.
they've been here a while. No, it's a town in Holland, I think, but I think family came over in the 18th century, so they've been around either here or Scotland or places for a while.
Wow. So you are definitely.
So I don't speak any Dutch.
No, fine. It's fine. I wasn't sure how recent the family moved over here, but clearly you've been here a while then, the Van Milligens. Been here a while.
Yeah.
Were you always going to follow in your father's footsteps in the company, or how did that come about?
I've never really known whether we were groomed for it or whether we had a natural inclination for it. But certainly both myself and my brother, we went to do our apprenticeships with the big companies in the country, and then came back to the business. It's been a very interesting business to be in. Some great employees and interesting customers.
I bet.
Around the world.
And rather wonderful that a family business like this is still going after all the challenges that you must have faced over the years.
Yeah. We're now out of the business, and the business is now employee owned.
Okay.
So we did that 2 years ago, and hopefully that will provide longevity for the business, rather than selling out to a multinational conglomerate or whatever. But
fabulous. Well, let's talk about food then, Ben. Has your work with the company, has it involved lots of travel to these places that buy your components, your equipment?
Yes. I've been quite a few places around the world, visiting customers, installing equipment in some of the slightly grottier parts of the world.
A mixed bag. So has that influenced what sort of food you like eating?
Possibly, yes. I'm always ready to try anything, certainly.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's useful for desert island dishes then. So here you are on this desert island, and you don't have to think about anything very much other than what you're going to have for your favourite meal. You can have absolutely anything. You've got a choice of starter and main course, or main course and dessert. So which would you go for?
I think being a desert island, it's got to be fish, hasn't it?
Okay.
Something like plaice or a delicate white fish, probably with, if there's room to grow some nice new potatoes, green beans. I think would be my favourite dish.
Okay.
Followed by summer pudding.
Oh, a classic.
We always used to. My mum always used to have black currant and raspberry in the garden, so it was a favourite at home.
Yeah, delicious, freshly picked, all of that. Are you much of a cook yourself?
Not a lot, a little bit. I would get a recipe out, and I would follow a recipe, certainly, but not greatly inspired. No.
It's interesting, isn't it? So there you are. You've travelled all over to the world. Some of the less exciting parts, as you say yourself, and yet you've gone for two very sort of traditional, sort of classic dishes there, for a bit of white fish and a summer pudding.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You have whatever you like. It's your favourite meal on a desert island. You're allowed to drink as well, Ben. What would you have to drink?
It ought to be white wine, but I think I would prefer a pint of bitter. To be honest.
Yeah, good for you. I always think the whole wine thing, like, you know, the red wine with meat and the white wine with it, I always think surely it's about what you like, isn't it? You know, whatever you like is what goes. I appreciate that people with better palates than mine can probably match these things up, but I think just have what you like, especially on a desert island if you're there on your own. Well, lovely. Sounds delicious. Now, I think you've got a busy night or a busy day ahead of you today, have you not? For the firework display.
The fireworks are on in Ravensthorpe this evening. Yes, I think, from what I understand, the gates open at 6 o'clock. Bonfire lit at 7, and fireworks at 7:30.
Excellent. Well plugged. Thank you for that. Are you part of the committee, or have you just been given instructions to mention it?
I was prompted to mention it. Yeah.
Well done. Job done, Ben. Job done.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely to talk to you. Very interesting to hear about the business and all that's involved. I hope the fireworks event goes smoothly tonight. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you. Yep.
Ben van Milligen, who's from Talk Meters based in Ravensthorpe, and more desert island dishes next week with Annabel.